Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Checking radar, we're looking at just a few light showers finally pushing out of our viewing area, but I'll show you where we might see a few more isolated showers later today.
Someone is shooting at drivers on I-40 in Raleigh, and police are trying to track down whoever is responsible. This morning, a warning from police.
Plus, there could be a new grading system for your high school student. The decision state education leaders are making today about grading core classes. Welcome in on your Thursday morning. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
I'm Chris Lovingood. I don't know why you said welcome in. I'm like, did they come to the store? That's what they say whenever you go to like Kohl's or something. Welcome in. Well, there's Elizabeth Garner. Welcome in to the WRAL Severe Weather Center, because we had a little rain today, but we are saying bye-bye to it.
That's right. Come on in, take a look, and then, the rain is going to move along. Boy, we really need some rain. We'll have a second chance coming up in a few days, and we'll talk more about that coming up. But pretty dry. There's an isolated shower that's trying to pop up over near Greensboro. So the models show maybe one or two of these little showers popping up. But for the most part, we're done with this rain. You may notice as you head out the door this morning, it looks a little damp depending on where you are. I'm still seeing a little rain south of Goldsboro and down into Sampson County, but otherwise it's done. We'll roll Futurecast through time, and notice here at 9 o'clock, it does show just a tiny shower that pops up. None of that's really going to measure into the rain gauges. As a matter of fact, what we saw overnight last night was an average of about 1/10 of an inch. Notice the clouds breaking up late afternoon and into the evening. We're going to give it a 20% chance this afternoon just to kind of cover the bases, but we should see some sunshine developing after lunchtime. It looks pretty gray right now over downtown Raleigh, and as we take a look down Jones Street, you can see it still looks a little damp out there. It's warm, 70 degrees, dew points way up at 67. So it feels tropical outside right now. A little sunshine this afternoon will bump us up to around 80 for the high today. Speaking of tropical, Rafael, a Category 3 storm plowed over the western tip of Cuba, destroying their power grid again for the second time in a month. A different storm then. This storm will move westward toward Mexico and fizzle out. It may not even make landfall in Mexico, so it's not likely to cause any more problems. And as I mentioned, we do have the chance of some more rain here later in the weekend, early next week. I'll show you coming up, Ken.
Well, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, just a handful of incidents to report, but also some troubled spots. Let's start here. This is a crash that's actually on Falls of Neuse proper, but you can see the delays that's already happening on I-540 in those westbound lanes, and that's really a combination of traffic lights and the congestion building this morning, so keep that in mind. Really, the Beltline might be your best option instead of taking that alternate loop. This crash on 87 in those southbound lanes near New Hope Road, probably in the clearing phase, because we're seeing, as we can see from the live cam network this morning, traffic is moving nicely. The southbound lanes are coming toward us, moving at a steady clip, so that's good news if you're coming in from Nidale and Zebulon and all points to the east of us. But listen, as we isolate the Beltline this morning, you can see the congestion building on the northern loop of the Beltline this morning, as well as the southern loop starting around Lake Wheeler Road, as we take you outside and show you what we're talking about. These are the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. You can see it's moving rather slowly this morning. So if you're coming in from Garner or Johnston County, I would really take the northern loop of the Beltline to avoid what's happening there. Of course, if you're heading out this morning, listen to us anywhere in the Triangle on 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Raleigh police want drivers to be alert on I-40. At least 6 cars have been shot at in the last 3 days, with one person shot in the leg. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from the Raleigh Police Department. And Kelsey, this is a very dangerous situation for drivers. This is scary.
Michelle, it really is scary, and this morning Raleigh police are asking for your help to find whoever is responsible. They're hoping to receive tips from drivers. 6 cars were shot at this week along this stretch of I-40 in Raleigh and Cary. That's from Chapel Hill Road to Gorman Street to Buck Jones Road. Take a look at this video of officers investigating along the highway. Police have not released a description of who they're looking for. We're working to find out whether there was more than one shooter, but it appears someone is shooting these cars at random. Nash County Sheriff Keith Stone faced a similar situation back in 2020 when a man shot at multiple cars along I-95. He says tips from drivers play a pivotal role in cases like this.
This is where the public with cell phones and the ability to report crimes right then and has the ability to give good descriptions, that's what solves these cases and makes it where we're possible to stop this stuff very quickly.
Raleigh police say finding whoever is responsible for this is their top priority, so they will have extra patrols out on I-40 today. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
We are just hours away from President Biden publicly speaking since the end of the election. He'll be talking from the Rose Garden at the White House, where you are looking live this morning. Biden plans to address the nation at 11 o'clock this morning. He praised Vice President Kamala Harris in a statement last night after she conceded the race. Biden called her a tremendous partner and public servant full of integrity, courage, and character. He did not mention, though, President-elect Donald Trump by name in the statement.
And Vice President Harris is delivering a message of hope to her supporters after the election. Harris gave her concession speech yesterday at her alma mater, Howard University. She told thousands of supporters that she is proud of her campaign. She told them it is still important for them to make their voices heard over the next 4 years.
Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up.
Harris says that she called President-elect Trump earlier in the day to offer her congratulations.
And Michelle, today we'll get closer to learning who will control the House of Representatives in the next Congress. You're looking live at the Capitol building, and that is where Republicans hope they'll have majorities in both chambers in January. Republicans took control of the Senate with the results of Election Day. This morning, 39 House races have not been decided. NBC News has called 209 races for Republicans and 187 for Democrats. A party needs to win 218 seats to have control of the House. Analysts say we may not know the results of some of these races until next week or even longer.
Tonight, you can get a look at the proposed designs for expansion of the Raleigh Convention Center. The city is hosting a community meeting from 6 to 7 tonight at the Convention Center on South Salisbury Street. It'll present 3 external design options as well as options for the plaza and a green space. You can give your feedback on what you would like to see. The expanded Convention Center will overtake the space where the Red Hat Amphitheater now sits, and Red Hat will be rebuilt 1 block south.
Today, the State Board of Education will consider whether high school students should be able to take core classes on a pass-fail basis. The board plans to vote today on a policy that would not allow a pass-fail grade for classes such as English and math. The policy now does not say when pass-fail can be used instead of a traditional letter grade.
Some students apparently have been able to do pass, no pass when they go through the credit recovery process. So that would no longer be an option for those students.
That was WRAL Education Insider Emily Walkenhorst. Now, if approved, this policy change would go into effect during the 2025-26 school year. Today, the board also plans to vote on waiving some federal requirements for counties Helene affected.
Today, the group that owns the Lenovo Center is meeting to talk about the next steps in the arena's redesign. The Centennial Authority's $300 million project will add food and retail options as well as more parking. Plans also include a beer garden, VIP lobby, and a new team store. The board's meeting starts at 10 o'clock this morning.
Raleigh Mayor-elect Janet Cowell is in a familiar place, but with a new title. She spent 2 terms as a city council member more than 20 years ago, and now she's returning as mayor. A top concern for her is affordable housing. She says she is already getting up to speed on those initiatives with the city manager.
I was asking her, are there any big zoning cases coming up, any developments that we think are going to come back? You know, a lot of people were kind of waiting through the election. So I don't think anything immediately in the next, 6 weeks or anything, but I think we'll get a good amount of activity coming next year.
Cowell is expected to be sworn in December 2nd.
Hundreds of employees at Wolfspeed are being laid off. The semiconductor manufacturer is cutting its workforce by 10%. Wolfspeed told us this round of layoffs will mainly affect North Carolina. It did not say exactly where or which divisions, but the company has already laid off 10% of its employees in the past 3 months. It also announced in August that it is closing its Durham production facility.
It's always not just the individual losing their job. It's what that individual means to the local economy. That's taken away, and that means the local economy is less robust.
Last month, the company received $750 million in grant money from the Federal CHIPS Act.
The election brought a series of emotions for voters all across the political spectrum. In just a few minutes, you're going to hear how you can best decompress from a rocky political season.
And Canada is shutting down TikTok's offices. Why? They say the offices in their country is a national security concern.
And a lot of us saw some showers early this morning, but the back edge of that rain is pushing out of our area quickly. I'll show you when we'll have another chance for showers coming up.
Welcome back on your Thursday morning as we take a nice live look over Carolina Beach this morning. Couple clouds in the sky there, but nonetheless, it is still beautiful. We did see some rain, Elizabeth, which thank goodness, because we really need it. We need more of it, though.
We do. We're going to have another chance sort of the end of the weekend, early next week. But, I got excited. I walked out the door and, the ground was wet. The streets were wet. I was like, yes. But it moved out pretty quickly, and there's very little of it left. We head down south of Goldsboro there in Wayne County, a little sprinkle there. But it's almost out of Clinton and Sampson County. And there might be an isolated little shower that pops up. We haven't really started to clear things just yet. Futurecast is advertising, a few isolated showers, but, it's 8:15. We're really not seeing that. So it looks like the model's kind of overdoing that a little bit. But once we get into the afternoon, we should start to see the skies clearing a little bit to partly cloudy. We didn't see much rain out of this. Our forecast for the next 3 days, only about a quarter of an inch. There's a small chance that we could see another light shower for tomorrow, but we've just been, such a different pattern. We had so much rain, 13 inches in September, but the last time we had any measurable rain was 11 days ago with 1/10 of an inch, October 27th, and anything really significant, 1.5 inches, was 41 days ago, September 27th. So we're definitely hurting for rain. The drought monitor will come out shortly, most likely sometime in the 9 o'clock hour, and we'll share that with you. Anthony coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. If it comes out, he'll definitely show it to you. Skies are still pretty cloudy. Fayetteville, Apex, Raleigh, Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant, but you can see there on Franklin Street, they're starting to dry out. We had a lot more rain down into South Carolina and Georgia. All of that is shifting eastward. But here comes a stalled front. I shouldn't say here it comes because it's stalled, but eventually it's coming our way. It will move eastward as a cold front, and it will start to bring some rain into the area late Sunday afternoon. Saturday should be dry, and most of the day Sunday is likely to be dry, but it will be wet early Monday morning. It is Veterans Day, of course, and as we get into the afternoon, we should start to clear things out, but it may be a wet start to the day on Monday. Keep that in mind if you're planning to head out to any Veterans Day ceremonies. 30% chance of some showers for the rest of the day today. A 20% chance for tomorrow. Could be a little pop-up shower. And then Sunday late afternoon and into the first half of Monday, our next chances for rain. Checking the tropics, Hurricane Rafael, not too far actually from Key West here. There was some high surf there, but it's moving away from Key West. It's going to be headed to the west. It's Cat 2 right now, but will just dissipate before it makes landfall, most likely even here in Mexico. Just going to die out there in the Gulf of Mexico. But a lot of damage to Cuba. It was a Cat 3 last night when it moved across Cuba, and it destroyed their power grid once again. One more system out here, 20 to 30% chance in the Atlantic that one develops. Here's what we're looking at. A warm day today and tomorrow, and then turning cooler Saturday and Sunday. A chance of some showers Monday. And then after that, we start to cool back down again. Coming up in just a little bit, I'll show you a change in our weather pattern that starts next Wednesday, Ken.
All right, this is what's happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We want to isolate the Beltline because I know many of you use the Beltline as your morning commute this morning, and you can see that traffic is definitely building on the northern loop, those westbound lanes. And a lot of that traffic has to do with that outer lane, getting onto Wade Avenue, which gets you to I-40 West. That's probably a lot of that traffic has to do with that. On the southern loop of the Beltline, that's just a morning congestion this morning. Courtesy of a live cam network, those westbound lanes are moving away from us, and those lanes are moving. It's slow going this morning there in the southern loop of the Beltline. So keep that in mind if you're about to head out this morning. A couple of things we want to bring your attention to this morning. This crash right here just cleared. It was on Mitchell Mill Road, but you can see it did not cause any problems on Mitchell Mill Road, but the usual congestion building on Lewisburg Road, as well as US 1, Capitol Boulevard. That's a combination of the traffic lights and just the increased congestion. We've also been following this crash on Falls of Neuse Road in the westbound lanes. Now, the crash is on Falls of Neuse proper, but that congestion that's building on I-540, and here again, that's a combination of the traffic lights and the congestion that you see building there. Really quickly, this crash is probably in the clearing phase on 87 and the southbound lanes, but if you're getting ready to head out, we've got you covered on WRAL News Plus. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
Your time is 8:17. Millions of people in Cuba are without power because of Hurricane Rafael. It caused the electrical grid there to collapse. And folks, this is the second time this has happened in less than a month. The storm is moving toward the Gulf of Mexico this morning. Tropical storm warnings have been issued for some areas of Florida because of this.
Plea deals for the men accused of conspiring on the 9/11 attacks will move forward. A military judge ruled yesterday that deals with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 2 other men can proceed. The U.S. reached deals with them in July that could see them avoid death sentences. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin tried to revoke them. Attorneys for the men called Austin's actions corrupt and said they violated the military's own regulations.
The new district attorney of Los Angeles County says the Menendez brothers case will be a top priority when he takes office. Former federal prosecutor Nathan Hochman defeated the incumbent district attorney George Gaston in the county elections. Gaston recently recommended Eric and Lyle Menendez be resentenced for the 1989 murders of their parents. Hochman says he will work quickly to make sure the brothers have a decision before a December 11th hearing. He's expected to take office December 2nd.
The Justice Department is reevaluating how to handle the 2 federal criminal cases against President-elect Donald Trump. It's part of the DOJ's long-standing policy that a sitting president cannot be prosecuted. Donald Trump had been facing trials in the January 6th case and the classified documents case. And now that Trump will become president again, DOJ officials see no room to pursue either a criminal case against him or continue to litigate them in the weeks before he takes office. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump told President Biden that he plans to meet with him in Washington, D.C. soon. Biden spoke with Trump yesterday to congratulate him on his victory and invite him to the White House. White House officials say that the Biden administration asked the Trump team to sign the required federal agreements needed to start the presidential transition. Talks about that transition of power are expected to ramp up later in the week.
Voters are filled with mixed emotions following Tuesday's election. Experts say one way to deal with those emotions is to take a break from social media. Here's Regina Wildrop.
After the presidential election, some voters filled with pride and optimism.
No stress. Great day. It feels like freedom outside. The sky's not falling. Another day, another dollar.
For others who didn't get the outcome they wanted, it's a day of disappointment.
There's nothing to talk about. It is what it is.
I feel all right. Could be a little bit better.
I didn't sleep at all. Like, not a single hour.
This election had voters of both parties stressed out. According to the American Psychological Association, nearly 70% of Americans said the 2024 presidential election was a significant source of stress in their lives.
I mean, it's your country, and it's people you care about, so there's always a lot at stake.
Whether you're celebrating or feeling anxious, it's okay to put politics on pause and do some self-care, says Dr. Michael Zipra with Northwestern University.
Really, it's good to take a break from media and social media, because there's going to be a lot of content that is just going to stir people up.
And then shortly after the election, you have the holidays coming. And Dr. Zipra says one thing you can do is to make an agreement with family and friends to keep politics off the table.
I know it's not always easy, but often that's the best approach. And so you and your family may want to have some sort of agreement beforehand.
Some other ways to manage post-election stress: exercise, take a walk outside, talk to people who support you, get enough sleep, don't consume lots of caffeine or alcohol, and take a break from social media.
I think self-care in a very general sense is very important.
That was Regina Waldrop reporting. According to Credit Karma, nearly 30% of people are now doom spending in order to cope with election stress. Most of them are Gen Z and millennials. The report also adds that a third of Americans say it's no longer reasonable to save money because of economic uncertainty.
TikTok is shutting down its offices in Canada. The Canadian government ordered the company to close its 2 offices in the country because of national security concerns. However, Canadians will still be able to use the app. This comes after a series of accusations from other countries like the U.S. that say TikTok fails to protect children's privacy. TikTok says hundreds of people will lose their jobs and is appealing the order.
Families who qualify for reduced school breakfast and lunch will soon pay less when adding money to students' accounts. The U.S. Department of Agriculture announced a new rule that bans schools from charging junk fees for adding funds to school lunch accounts. A consumer study estimates that low-income families pay 60 cents in processing fees for each dollar they spend on school meals. The new rule officially takes effect in the 2027-28 school year.
Well, this will get you in the holiday spirit. Snow season has arrived in Colorado. Look at this beautiful live look in Pikes Peak. This is the first storm of the season. My goodness.
I can't even fathom snow right now being here in North Carolina. Voters in Wilson County are still questioning what went wrong at a local polling site on election morning. What the county's Board of Elections director says they should have done before polls opened.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We did see a little bit of rain this morning. Elizabeth Gardner shows us what's left of it.
I think a lot of us were excited. I will speak for myself. I was excited when I opened the door. I was like, oh, yes, it rained, which we were expecting it to. But, we just haven't seen it in so long. It was good to see. Not much of it left. A little bit there in Wayne County and Sampson County. There could be an isolated shower that pops up in the next few hours, but then we'll likely see the clouds breaking up and we'll see a little bit of sunshine this afternoon. The street here, Salem Street and Apex, drying out at this point. It's warm out there. 71 in Fayetteville, 70 in Irwin, 66 in Lewisburg. So it's a warm start, and it's muggy, too, you'll notice. Partly cloudy this afternoon with a high nearly 80 degrees. Another chance of rain Sunday into Monday, Ken.
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, congestion building on some of our major roadways, including I-540, starting at Capitol Boulevard, stretching past Falls of News. We're also seeing a bit of a slowdown here on these eastbound lanes of I-40 in Durham, starting at the I-40, I-85 split and stretching all the way back to Garrett Road. We're working to figure out if it's maintenance, road maintenance that hasn't cleared, or maybe a crash that just happened. I'll keep an eye on that and let you know. I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. Police in Raleigh are searching for the people responsible for shooting at least 6 cars along I-40 this week. It happened in Chapel Hill. Police will increase patrols in the area and urge drivers to use extreme caution. Coming up next on Fox 50, when the DOT says they plan to reopen I-40 through the mountains. And next on Today, Target holiday home finds.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Still just a little bit of rain showing up on dual Doppler 5000 radar. I'll show you how much more we could see today and when we'll have another better chance.
And there's major concern for drivers along I-40 in Raleigh. The warning from police this morning as they search for the person or people responsible for shooting at least 6 cars earlier this week.
Plus, President Biden is expected to speak for the first time since the election. We're talking about hours from now, when he'll address the nation and his praises for Vice President Kamala Harris after her concession speech. A lot of stories that we are following here on WRAL News on your Thursday. We're almost to Friday. Almost. Not there just yet. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chris Lovingate.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. It's Friday Eve. That's what we'll call it. And it was a rainy start to your Friday Eve. We did see a little rain, Elizabeth. We really need to see more, though.
We really do. It was an average of 1/10 of an inch, which doesn't really help us that much. And then there it goes, that last little bit there in parts of Wayne County and Sampson County. We might have a little shower that pops up a little later on this morning. It's possible. The models are sort of hinting at that, but it's kind of overdone already. So this is 8:30. This is what we should be seeing. We're not seeing any of these little showers popping up. So I would say the chances of those little showers popping up are 10 to 20%. And then once we get into the afternoon, we should end up seeing the skies breaking up, the clouds breaking up a little bit. We should see some sunshine into the afternoon and a nice warm up. We take a look at what's happening here, looking over downtown Raleigh, and you can see gray skies and the road starting to dry out a little bit. It is warm. It's 70 degrees right now with a dew point of 67. So that's up there. It feels tropical heading out the door this morning, becoming partly cloudy with the temperature nearly 80 degrees this afternoon. We'll do a quick check of the tropical tropics. Rafael moved across the western tip of Cuba, and it was a really strong storm, a Category 3 at that point, and it destroyed their power grid again for the second time in a month. Where that storm is headed now is across the Gulf of Mexico to the west, and it's going to fizzle out here. It's going to run into some stronger winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere that are going to tear it apart. We have another chance of rain late in the weekend, early next week, unrelated to this. I'll show you coming up, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Let's go ahead and isolate the Beltline for you this morning so you can see what's going on. The southern loop of the Beltline, that's a crash near Hammond Road that really not causing any problems for you this morning. The usual congestion we see on the northern loop, those are the westbound lanes. Courtesy of a live cam network, let's show you those westbound lanes of I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. It's slow going in those westbound lanes, so leave the house a little earlier than usual because you could be running into that in the next half hour or so. Elsewhere, we're seeing this bit of a slowdown in these eastbound lanes here on I-40 there in Durham. We're trying to figure out exactly if this is road maintenance that hasn't cleared yet or maybe a crash that just happened, but it stretches all the way back even to the Orange County line. So we'll keep an eye on that and let you know how that's going to continue to affect your morning commute if you're coming east on I-40 there in Durham. Again, this crash on I-40 in the eastbound lane near Hammond Road not causing any problems for you this morning. Just thought you should know about it. And this one probably in the clearing phase. It's on Falls of News proper, but you can see the I-540, the delays it's causing there in those westbound lanes, and that's a combination of congestion and the traffic lights there in 540. You're getting ready to head out. You listen to WRAL News Plus on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
The Raleigh Police Department wants drivers to be alert on I-40. At least 6 cars have been shot at in the last 3 days. One person was even injured, shot in the leg. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains the dangerous situation for drivers.
Right now, Raleigh police are hoping to receive tips from drivers. They're asking for your help to find whoever is responsible. At least 6 cars were shot at in 3 days along this stretch of I-40 in Raleigh and Cary. That's from Chapel Hill Road to Gorman Street to Buck Jones Road. Sky 5 was there when traffic was backed up on I-40 after shots were fired yesterday. Police have not released a description of who they're looking for. We're working to find out whether there was more than one shooter, but it appears someone is shooting at these cars at random. Nash County Sheriff Keith Stone faced a similar situation back in 2020 when a man shot at multiple cars along I-95. He says tips from drivers play a pivotal role in cases like this.
It all goes back to someone seeing something suspicious, someone reporting it, and the law enforcement agencies following up on it, investigating it thoroughly.
Raleigh police say finding this shooter is their top priority, so they will have extra patrols out on I-40. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
This morning, we'll hear from President Biden for the first time since the election. He'll speak from the Rose Garden at the White House, where you are looking live this morning. Biden plans to address the nation at 11 o'clock. Biden praised Vice President Harris in a statement last night after she conceded the race. Biden called Harris a tremendous partner and public servant, full of integrity, courage, and character. He did not mention President-elect Donald Trump by name in the statement.
Vice President Kamala Harris is delivering a message of hope to her supporters after the election. She delivered her concession speech yesterday at her alma mater, Howard University. She told thousands of supporters she is proud of her campaign. She told them it's still important for them to make their voices heard over the next 4 years. She also emphasized the importance of a peaceful transfer of power.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny.
Harris says she called President-elect Trump to offer her congratulations. And her running mate is giving her his appreciation. In a post on X last night, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said being selected for the Democratic ticket was the honor and privilege of his life. He also said he's grateful to the Americans who joined their campaign.
The stock market will open this morning at a record high. The Dow jumped more than 1,500 points yesterday in the aftermath of Donald Trump's election win. Exit polls from Tuesday's election showed 68% of voters were dissatisfied with the state of the economy. Investors believe an era of deregulation and other pro-business policies could benefit the stock market long term. That's despite a series of stock market highs reached under the Biden administration. And we may see another cut to interest rates today. Analysts expect the Federal Reserve will announce another 0.25% cut today. The Fed cut the rate by 0.5% last month. Financial experts say the benefits from these rate cuts will be small for a while. They say more cuts are needed for people who are struggling with credit card debt and also loan payments.
Today, Durham Public Schools is taking a look at how to address its bus driver shortage. The school system is short 59 bus drivers and 13 substitute drivers. That's about 30% of the staff. The school board is looking at ways to fill those positions. It's also considering ways to change routes to decrease the demand for drivers. And the board will meet for a work session on this issue today.
North Carolina Labor Commissioner Josh Dobson has resigned. His resignation took effect last night at 5 o'clock. This comes after Republican Luke Farley beat Democrat Braxton Winston. Dobson was elected in 2020 after Sherry Berry retired.
Healthcare workers are becoming the targets of violence more often.
Do you think the average person knows how dangerous it is to work in a hospital?
I don't think the general public has any idea.
Tonight at 6, WRAL investigates the rise in assaults on healthcare workers and the new training and state law designed to help.
6 weeks after Helene hit the mountains of North Carolina, a moment many families and school leaders have been looking forward to. Students finally returned to the classroom this week. Meteorologist Chris Michaels was at Freedom Trail Elementary days after the storm when kids were still unaccounted for. In the last month, so many of them have been hard at work. And one dynamic duo, a teacher and principal, created a welcome back video. They've been doing home visits to check up on their students.
More just because the kids are so excited. We had one that came just a few minutes ago to pick up some things that her house was destroyed. And she just, she runs up, she gives you a big hug. They're just super excited to see you. And so it's no longer just a teacher-student relationship about education. They know, my goodness, these people now have been in my home. They see what I go home to every day.
And the need is still great in Avery County as people rebuild and prepare for winter there. The principal says people in Idaho and California are delivering handmade quilts to the school soon. They will hand those out to nursing homes and the elderly closer to the holidays. Fast-moving wildfires are destroying homes in California. Coming up, how a wind system is making this fire so difficult to get under control.
Plus, big news from the world of breakdancing. Why the viral Olympic breakdancer, Rachel Gunn, says she's retiring. Getting a quick look outside this morning, still seeing a little cloud coverage there, but that rain that you likely woke up to a few hours ago, it has pushed out. What is it looking like for this weekend? Well, we have Elizabeth Gardner getting you a track on that.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at what's happening here on Dual Doppler 5000 radar. That is the end of the rain moving on out. And the models, Futurecast keeps trying to show a few showers popping up, but we really haven't seen anything. This little one over here, it's kind of north and west of our viewing area, but nothing else is really developed. And again, the rest of that rain's moving out of Goldsboro, out of Clinton, and toward Kinston, and off toward the beach. But notice here, see how Futurecast is showing just a little bit of patchy rain showing up here. So a little drizzle wouldn't be completely out of the question, or a little tiny shower that pops up. I figure that's a 10 to 20% chance at best. And then into the afternoon, we should see the clouds breaking up with some sunshine. It's warm, it's muggy, it feels very tropical outside right now as you're headed out the door. Here's a look at Wake County. We're looking off to the west. It looks like the clouds are starting to thin as we look toward the west here. Our temperature is 70 right now with a dew point of 67. That is a high dew point. I mean, it's not July-like, but it's really high for this time of year. 79 Raleigh and Durham this afternoon, and to 80 degrees in Fayetteville. Left those sprinkles on there, again, just in case we see an isolated shower between now and lunchtime. Jake Hornicky sent us this gorgeous sunrise from Cape Lookout there. You can see the lighthouse there, just beautiful colors. We love your Weather Watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers, and send us a few. Our normal high is 66 this time of year, so we're well above that again today and tomorrow. We bring the temperatures back down this weekend, closer to normal, and the overnight lows drop Sunday morning to 45. Our normal low is 42, so most of our lows are going to be well above that for the next 5 days. The cold air is all out to the west. I've had people ask me lately, where's the cooler air? When is it going to feel like fall? Well, you got to go back to the west. But we're going to see that flip-flop. You can see this snow here in parts of Colorado. We had video earlier in the newscast of the first snow there in Denver, and so they're looking at that. 26 degrees right now in Denver, while up and down the East Coast, it's warm. I mean, even New York sitting at 68 right now. We're going to flip-flop that for next week. So Wednesday, we'll start to see some cold air moving out of Canada right down to the East Coast, including us here in North Carolina. We'll start to feel that Thursday night into Friday and Saturday. And so finally, temperatures will be at or below normal. So if you're hoping for some cool temperatures, hold on. Got about a week to wait. In the meantime, for this weekend, Duke plays at NC State at 3:30. Tailgating ahead of the game on Saturday looks really good. Temperatures will be in the 60s and then dropping into the 50s by the end of the game. Saturday, of course, looks pretty. Sunday, late in the day, we'll see a few showers. And Veterans Day is Monday. We may start the day with a few scattered showers. And of course, we could use the rain.
Yes, we could. Thanks, Elizabeth. We'll take a look at this. A professor from Pepperdine University in Malibu took this video here of a fast-moving wildfire. Firefighters in Ventura and Los Angeles counties have been working to get it under control since Wednesday. As Chris DeMeo shares, the Santa Ana wind is fueling the flames, making it hard to put out.
Southern California is under siege as intense winds whip up flames from the mountain fire.
Gusts to 60 and as high as 80 miles an hour.
The inferno sparked Wednesday morning in Ventura County and rapidly exploded from 25 to 1,000 acres in just an hour. More than 14,000 acres have been burned as of Wednesday night, and containment was at 0%. Firefighters say the gusts are carrying embers far and wide.
Imagine a hurricane with fire.
Thousands of residents evacuated as towering flames driven by the wind crept closer.
Firefighters were right off the bat engaged in pulling people out of their houses and saving lives.
Dozens of homes have already been reduced to piles of smoldering ash, and crews say thousands more remain threatened. It's adding pressure to the hundreds of firefighters responding. Local officials are reporting several people were hospitalized with injuries.
The fires burning in various fuel types, including agricultural and various brush and grasses that we have in our county. Resources that arrived on scene initially were faced with a tough firefight. Crews immediately went into structure protection, property conservation.
Visibility in several neighborhoods was quickly compromised as thick clouds of smoke swept through, making it hard for some aircraft to battle the fire from above.
This fire is moving dangerously fast.
Firefighters expect conditions to persist until Thursday night.
That was Chris DeMeo reporting. An explosion in Salt Lake City, Utah killed at least one person. Look at the aftermath here on your screen. Search teams found that person inside the rubble of a home last night. That was about 7 hours after the explosion. Other homes in the neighborhood were also damaged, and authorities are still working to learn what caused that explosion.
New Year's Day is the target for the partial reopening of I-40 in western North Carolina. Crews are working to make the areas hit hardest by Helene drivable. The reopening would be a temporary fix with one lane of traffic flowing in each direction. The long-term fix has not been decided yet. More than 300 roads, including 52 primary roads, are still closed in western North Carolina.
Voters in Wilson County are wondering what went wrong after a printer mishap on Election Day. Poll workers could not print voter authorization forms at Gardner's Elementary for about an hour and a half, and some voters had to leave because they just could not wait. The people who stayed said it took more than 2 hours to vote. The Wilson County Board of Elections director told WRAL workers should have checked that the printers were working sooner.
They are supposed to at 5:30, when they get there at 5:30, turn on a DS200 and their printer at 5:30. So if there are any issues, they can give us a call and we can try to fix the issue, but that didn't happen.
Tasha Bell, you just heard from there, also says workers are trained to get contact information for people who left. That's to make sure they came back to vote. However, Bell says that did not happen.
5 on Your Side is talking taxes now to save you money later. Tune in this Wednesday from 4 until 7 p.m. for Tax Pros On Call. This event is all about tax planning, and federally licensed enrolled agents will be taking your calls, answering questions about everything from adjusting your withholdings to dealing with penalties and changes to tax law. Best of all, this is completely free, so get your questions ready and call Tax Pros this Wednesday.
There's another study showing the impact of the time you spend sitting down. Scientists at the University of Colorado Boulder studied more than 1,000 people between the ages of 28 and 49. Uh-oh, I'm in that bracket. They found millennials spend more than 60 hours each week sitting down. That's because of long work commutes, computer-based jobs, and scrolling through social media. Toss video games in there for me. Experts warn that sitting down, though, for long periods of time could increase the risk of heart disease.
A young man in Clayton is getting attention for an act of kindness that was caught on camera. Look at this. This is 13-year-old Colby from Clayton. And while trick-or-treating, he came across a house whose candy jar had run out of candy. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. He tossed a bunch of his own candy into the empty bucket for others to take. His mom calls this a proud mama moment. She says he often does kind things for people when nobody is watching. That is so sweet.
It is. Travis Kelce is defending his brother smashing someone's phone. There was video released over the weekend showing Jason Kelce walking outside Penn State during college game day. A man could be heard using a homophobic slur to describe Travis and his relationship with Taylor Swift. Well, Jason heard that. The video shows him smashing the man's phone and shouting the same slur back at the man. Travis is siding with his brother's actions in this. He says they were done in the name of defending family. And Jason says he regrets even interacting with that person.
Yeah, he let him get the best of him, I think. Well, Ray Gunn, the Australian breakdancer who went viral for her performance during the Olympics, says she's retiring from the sport. The dancer, whose real name is Rachel Gunn, made the announcement on an Australian radio show. Gunn says she won't compete anymore because of the negative perception of her on the internet. Breaking was dropped from the Olympic program for the 2028 Games in Los Angeles.
We are learning more about the upcoming final season of Stranger Things. Netflix released a teaser with the 5th season's episode titles. This title tease indicates the season will have 8 episodes, all happening in the fall of 1987, and with a debut sometime next year.
I'm so excited.
Same.
I love Stranger Things. It's so good. All right, well, it's never too early for Christmas movies, right? And 4 new Yuletide films are debuting this week. David Daniel has a look in today's Hollywood Minute.
When James and I met, it was like magic. And we made a deal.
What if we meet next Christmas at the Pentatonics concert?
Shut up.
Christina Milian needs a holiday miracle to make her fairy tale romance come true in Meet Me Next Christmas. But is her prince the man waiting at the concert for her, or the handsome ticket concierge trying to get her there? Meet Me Next Christmas just dropped on Netflix.
Listen, if she wants Christmas in August, I'm going to give it to her. And you two are going to suck it up. Just do what everybody else does in the world. Fake the crap out of it.
A 10-year-old girl and her grandfather stage an early holiday to keep her parents from breaking up in A Sudden Case of Christmas. The family film, shot in Italy's Dolomite Mountains, debuts Thursday in select theaters and on digital platforms.
It's Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
An extended Italian family gathers for what could be their last Yuletide in their ancestral home in Christmas Eve in Millers Point. The ensemble comedy is in select theaters Friday.
We're going to be in your Bible play.
Herdman's in church.
Oh boy.
Judy Greer is a mom determined to make this the best Christmas pageant ever, even with the worst kids in town in leading roles. The best Christmas pageant ever, based on the popular novel, opens in theaters Friday. Feeling jolly in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And hey, before we go to break, we didn't forget, we got your winning lottery numbers right here for Wednesday, November 6th. And of course, we'll get you a check on weather and traffic coming up.